Your baby stretches out their arms, but not toward you, toward the other parent. And in that half second, before your brain even has time to rationalize, a part of you thinks, they love me less. But that feeling, that sting you just felt reading those words, has been studied for over 50 years across 3 continents by some of the most rigorous minds in developmental psychology. And what they found isn't just about preference. It's about a ranking system so sophisticated, it would put most corporate performance reviews to shame, built by a brain that can't yet say a single word. The most common explanation parents give themselves is simple. They spend more time with them. The baby is with mom all day, so of course they reach for mom. Or dad is the fun one, so they want dad. It's just exposure, familiarity, presence. Sounds perfectly reasonable. But here's the problem with that theory. In 1977, developmental psychologist Michael Lamb at the University of Wisconsin ran one of the first systematic studies on father-infant interaction published in Child Development. He tracked how babies in 2-parent households divided their attachment behaviors across both parents during the first 12 months. What he found demolished the time equals preference model. Babies did not simply prefer whoever was around more. They built entirely separate and functionally different relationships with each parent. The baby who reached for mom when they were scared would reach for dad when they wanted to play. Not because they loved one more, because they had assigned each parent a different role. But that raises a much deeper question. If it's not about time, what is the variable? What are they actually measuring? And this is where the data gets unsettling. In 1969, British psychiatrist John Bowlby at the Tavistock Clinic in London published what would become one of the most cited works in the history of psychology: Attachment and Loss. Across 3 volumes, Bowlby laid out a theory that was radical for its time: the attachment hierarchy. His central finding? Babies do not bond with everyone equally. They construct a ranked list of caregivers, ordered from primary attachment figure at the top to secondary and tertiary figures below. And the variable that determines your position on that list is not love, not presence, not genetics. It is consistency of response. Every time an infant sends a signal, a cry, a gaze, a reach, and a caregiver responds, the baby's brain logs that data point. Speed of response, accuracy of response, reliability across repetitions. Your baby has been running an involuntary spreadsheet of your response times. Every cry you answered, every glance you returned, every hand you held, it was all being recorded, and the rankings were being updated in real time. But it goes deeper than that. In 1981, Mary Main and Donna Weston at the University of California, Berkeley, published a study in developmental psychology that shattered one more assumption. They assessed infants' attachment security with each parent independently, not as a unit, but as 2 separate relationships. What they discovered stopped the field. A baby could be securely attached to one parent and insecurely attached to the other, at the same time, in the same household, under the same roof. The quality of attachment was not a property of the baby. It was a property of each specific relationship. A baby didn't come securely attached or insecurely attached as a fixed trait. They built a separate bond with each person, and each bond had its own quality rating, determined almost entirely by the consistency and sensitivity of that specific caregiver's responses. Think of it this way. Your baby didn't arrive with one attachment dial that points toward secure or insecure. They arrived with multiple dials, one for every significant person in their life, and each dial turns independently. You are not being compared to the other parent. You are being evaluated on your own track record. So think about that moment again. Your baby reaches for the other parent. You feel it in your chest, that irrational, instant pain. But now reframe it with what you know. When your baby stretches out their arms toward one parent and not the other, they are not saying, "I love you more." They are saying something far more precise. I built an involuntary spreadsheet of response times. Every time I cried, every time I looked over, I logged who showed up first. And I am using the data. That's not rejection. That's a status report. And here's the part that changes everything for the parent who feels second. That spreadsheet is never closed. It's updating right now. Every interaction, every response, every single time you show up when they signal, it's a new data point. And babies weight recent data more heavily than old data. The ranking isn't carved in stone, it's written in pencil. But there's something most parents never hear about, something the researchers found when they looked at what happens to the parent who stays in second place. And that part is harder to talk about. In the Berkeley lab, Maine and Weston didn't just measure which parent was preferred. They measured what happened during moments of stress, specifically what happened when the preferred parent was unavailable. Picture this. A 12-month-old is placed in an unfamiliar room. Toys are scattered on the floor. The primary attachment figure, let's say the mother, is sitting nearby. The baby explores freely, occasionally glancing back at mom. Everything is calm. Then mom gets up and leaves the room. The baby's behavior shifts instantly. They stop exploring. They move toward the door. Some cry, some freeze. The stress response is immediate and visible. Now here's the critical moment. The secondary attachment figure enters the room, in this case, the father. And the researchers watched what happened next. If the baby had a secure attachment with the father, if that second dial was also turned to secure, the baby calmed down. Not as quickly as with the primary figure, but measurably, significantly. The father could serve as a safe haven. The baby could use him as a base to regulate their distress and return to exploration. But if the baby had an insecure attachment with the father, if that second dial was turned the wrong way, the father's presence made almost no difference. The baby remained in distress. The second-ranked figure couldn't fill the gap. This is the finding that should keep every parent awake at night and simultaneously fill them with purpose. It's not about being number one. It's about being secure. A securely attached second-ranked parent is infinitely more valuable than an insecurely attached first-ranked one. The position on the list matters less than the quality of the bond in that position. Bowlby's hierarchy theory has been validated across 5 decades of longitudinal research. The consistency of a caregiver's response during the first 18 months shapes the development of the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for emotional regulation, and the hippocampus, which encodes memory and stress processing. Babies whose primary attachment figures responded consistently showed measurably lower cortisol reactivity by age 2. That's the stress hormone. Lower baseline stress, better emotional regulation, more confident exploration of new environments. But here's the critical nuance that Lamb's 1977 data revealed. The mother-infant bond and the father-infant bond contribute to different developmental outcomes. Babies used the mother figure primarily for comfort and security, the safe haven function. And they used the father figure primarily for stimulation and challenge, the exploratory function. Not better or worse, complementary. 2 different operating systems running simultaneously, building 2 different capacities in the same child. When one of those systems is missing or insecure, the child doesn't just lose a relationship, they lose an entire developmental channel. Now, if you're the parent who feels like you're in second place, I want to be direct with you. The research does not say you have failed. It says you have a feedback loop. The spreadsheet is open. The data updates every single day. Every baby is different. Timelines vary. Temperament plays a role. Some babies show strong preferences early. Others shift their hierarchy repeatedly during the first 2 years. Every time you respond to your baby's signal, every cry attended to, every gaze returned, every hand held when they reach, you are climbing the hierarchy. Not through grand gestures, through accumulated micro moments of reliability. Trust your instinct. If you feel the pull to respond, respond. Your baby is counting, literally. So the next time your baby reaches for the other parent, and that half-second sting hits you before your brain can intervene, remember what's actually happening. They are not choosing a favorite. They are reading from a spreadsheet that you helped write. A spreadsheet built from thousands of micro-interactions, every cry, every gaze, every moment you showed up or didn't. And the most extraordinary part is that the spreadsheet is never final. 50 years of attachment research across dozens of cultures and thousands of families all converge on one finding. The hierarchy of attachment is not a sentence. It's a conversation, an ongoing, living negotiation between a tiny human who cannot speak and the giants who surround them. There is no preferred parent. There are only thousands of moments, and the next one is yours. If this changed how you see the babies in your life, subscribe to this channel and tell me in the comments. Have you ever felt that sting when your baby reached for someone else? What did it feel like before you understood the science? And if you've ever wondered why some babies stare at strangers with terrifying intensity, while others bury their face and scream, that's the next video. And the neuroscience behind it is far stranger than you'd expect.